Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the last edition of our set overview for the episode 1 sets from the Star Wars CCG. So this is Theed Palace. So let's journey to Naboo and to Theed Palace. So just to give you a quick roadmap, I will be opening this pack at the end of the video. I've actually never opened a Theed pack because I quit playing the game right around Coruscant/Reflections 3. So I'll do a Reflections 3 video next week. But this is the last of the 12 sort of traditional sets within the Star Wars CCG. So I'll be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'm going to avoid just saying the AIs are the good and just do a quick overview. So there was 9 of them. There's 6 light side and 3 dark side here. So let's quickly go through them and we can talk about sort of the rarest. So this is the biggest chase card, the Queen Amidala. She's, maybe 200-ish bucks. And then we have her trusty sidekick, I guess, protector. I like how in the later movies he's old. Like in episode 2 and 3, he's like this old guy. So you have Panaka, then you have Mace Windu here, and then you have General Jar Jar. So the thing I like about the AIs, it's not just the alternative art or the collectability, but they just actually have some like interesting personas here. And there's a lot of, for a set that only has 120 cards, there's a lot of characters and just kind of good stuff. So Mace, Jar Jar, R2, and then Boss Nass. So this set has 120 cards, which is 40 rares. So within this pack, we have a pretty good shot of pulling something pretty good. So those are the light side AIs, Boss Nass, the last one. Then you have these random Nemoidians. So you have Rune Hako, which you probably didn't really know his name if you hadn't played this game or looked at the Wikipedia. Then you have Newt Gunray, who was sort of the leader. And then you finally had this Darth Sidious, who had a, Emperor Palpatine persona that wasn't Emperor Palpatine. So those are the 9 AIs within Theed Palace. So we'll look at these a little bit more later perhaps, but let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly as we did for other videos. So let's start off with the good. The good, a new kind of viable meta that's not just Rebels, right? So I think that the We Have a Plan kind of gave some juice to playing on Naboo and sort of some ideas for decks there. I also like Gungans. Like I think that Boss Nass and Rep Bean, they just gave you something new to kind of do in the game that wasn't any of the traditional metas. I also really like the inclusion of Mace Windu. I think, this is a great... I wish he was a little bit better. His game text could be tweaked to be a little bit better, but it's nice. And then you have this really OP General Jar Jar that, deploy for 2, power 4. This is just like leaps and bounds than most characters, and then you can just throw him back in his little Baka tank. So pretty cool and powerful Jar Jar. I like the Qui-Gon with stick. I think that, he's not too overpowered. And then finally, I think this is a nice queen for the We Have a Plan objective. So you can kind of run a nice package of raiding the palace and raiding the palace on Naboo. And I just think this is sort of a fun combo. It's not super powerful, but it's fun to play, I think. And then for the dark side, I think the invasion... this is good, right? And the introduction of battle droids in a more formal way. I will say the battle droid rifle is kind of broken at the Destiny, but that was actually from Coruscant, so we won't get into that too much. But I think that this is a fun droid package. I like having a Sidious that's not the Emperor. I wish the game would have continued because I think that they're introducing some really interesting pieces that just would have been built upon. So I like the droid packages. I think that they're a little, when you compare this to some of the earlier sets, these droids are just so much better, right? But I think it's kind of a fun new wrinkle in the game and adds some flavor. So let's also remind ourselves that while this was happening, this set came out, and then shortly after, Cypher, the company that makes Star Wars CCG, lost the license. So it was not really long for this world. So let's get into the bad, actually. So the bad, I couldn't really think of that much that was just bad. I can think of some stuff that's ugly for this, but there was just some stuff that I feel like they introduced, like this Kadu, or I also thought that, like, generally speaking, I think that decks or sets that are introduced with the intention of dueling. So this is the actual Anakin Skywalker, only Anakin. They have a little icon there for Anakin, but you know, he's a decent character, decent card, but there's this little mini game, right, you can play of blowing away the blockade flagship. And while I think that's nice if your intention is to sit there and play somebody else who's playing Naboo, it's a little too situational, right? And this text is very obscure when you're trying to play other decks. So I guess that's one thing I would say is the bad is a lot of this stuff, even Jar Jar's text, right? He basically can only target battle droids, which is fine. But if you're playing in a tournament or not playing against friends, then this text is pretty worthless. So he may target an opponent's battle droid or droid present. So that's not going to really work in most decks. So I think that's one thing I'd say is kind of bad about Feed. It's just the situationalness, and you have to almost be playing with an opponent that is running a certain deck for this to work. Otherwise, they're just kind of fun, not really super viable. Let's get into the ugly. This card right here, I think, was not intended to be so powerful. This card right here, We Sagata Grand Army, is a common that is probably like $10 just because it is used to this day in lots of decks. Because it allows you to pull Boss Nass's Chamber, and then you can throw Boss Nass down. There's this whole game to generate more force and get some cards out on the board that I think this card is just a lazy approach to it. And I know some people run like 6 of these in their deck. I just think it wasn't the intention of this common card to be like meta defining, right? And I think there's more like sophisticated ways of doing this than just like running 6 copies of this card. But a lot of decks do that because you can also just, Lost is also an undercover spy is Lost. I don't think that's used very much, but I think it's mostly the finder up here, or just subtract 1 from a Battle Destiny for weapons. So I just don't like this card. I think it's stupid in my opinion. It's also high Destiny 5. I also don't really care for these like Starfighter cannons, which are just a world more powerful than the other weapons, right? Like I get power creep is going to happen in games, but I think this is a pretty egregious example of like 6 Destinies here, and like I don't know, I just don't think it's good. And then finally, this card is ugly. This is a Darth Maul with lightsaber that he can swing twice, and I just think that like this card is too powerful, especially when you compare to like what other cards were out during that time. So this is my candidate for the ugliest of the ugly. Don't get me wrong, I like this card. I think it's cool. I just think it's when you compare it to like much of the other stuff, this is like by far the best card in the set. And I'm sure that there's people that have lots of different opinions. So that was our good, bad, and the ugly. And these are just one more look through our AIs. The Sidious, the Newt, the Rune, Boss Nass, R2, General Jar Jar, Mace, Panaka, and Queen Amidala. So these were 1 in every 4 on a sheet. So for every 4 Darth Sidiouses, 3 were this Darth Sidious, and then 1 was this. And you can always tell the AIs by the little gold ring. So let's open our pack. This is the last pack I have of Feed Palace. So this is kind of monumental for me. So what are we looking for in this pack? There's so much good stuff to pull. We'd want to pull a Darth Maul. We want to pull a Queen Amidala. It's not a huge set, so from a numbers standpoint, we have a pretty decent shot at getting something. I think the big one is probably the Queen Amidala, though. I'm trying to not wreck this wrapper because I actually would like to save it because I am a hoarder. But we'll see if I can get this one open without wrecking it. Oh man, a lot of dead time here. My goodness. Okay, well this is just how it's gonna be. So I think this has 5 light side, 5 dark side, and then the rare is in the middle. So we're looking for, oh, that's nice, we have the objective. So I think this is gonna be our rare. So I'm putting this to the back. So we're looking for our commons. The objectives are really great uncommons. That was also, frankly, I'll say that is nice from a gaming perspective to make the objectives uncommons. So we're looking for Whis got a Grand Army. So this is a great uncommon right here. He's not so much. It's always nice to get a character. And I don't think I miscounted. I think he's not a rare droid. So there's also a couple of rare droids in here. So he's pretty good. Activate the droids. Another droid. Drop your weapons. And our rare, it's going to be like, so we see it peeking. It's going to be like one of the Gungans. Ah, okay. This is not the rare we wanted from this pack. We're hoping for a lot of different stuff here. This is maybe not the one that is the most optimal. However, this was fun, and we got a new objective, or another copy of an objective, so that's always good. And I like opening packs, and I'd never done Theed before, so this is pretty fun to do, and I hope everyone learned something, and feel free to comment and what you think I screwed up, or what your opinions are on the good, the bad, and the ugly of Theed Palace. And I'll be coming back for one more video on Reflections 3 next week. Thanks.